Overcoming the porn and sex addiction. Man, this is so sinister. I mean, something that's so seemingly harmless and oftentimes encouraged. That's what's so funny about living on this planet, is that all of the stuff that is wrong for you is encouraged. Now, why is it encouraged? By, people that seem that are the ones that are supposed to know. Because just because you have a piece of paper that says I completed this training or this course or read all of these textbooks doesn't mean that they have the spiritual evolution to listen to even their own intuition. I mean, most of these people, man, are just regurgitating what they've been taught. So it's like you can't even hate them too much, right? Because they don't know. Like, that was one of the biggest lessons for me to learn. And like, I used to be so angry and just mad at the world. Like, why aren't people seeing these truths? Like, and I used to think like, well, they know, but they're actively denying it. No, they have no clue. People have no idea what we're talking about at all. Like, not the faintest idea. It's like trying to get a baby to walk before it's ready to walk. There's nothing you could say to it. You could do everything under the moon, but until it's ready to walk, it's just gonna look at you like, what? Like, what, I don't know. So this overcoming this stuff, the odds are just so stacked against you. It is just not in your favor at all. So it's gonna be okay. Just keep going. All right. There's something in you that knows what to do. All right. Listen to that. All right. Listening to your intuition, learning how to listen to your intuition, man, that is so critical. It's everything. Right? Because you're prescribed a very specific situation that's tailor-made to you. It gets to a point where no one has the answers but you, right? And I think that's like that is one of the best signs of a really good spiritual teacher, and I've found in the past, is they don't give you the answers, they show you how to look and see the answers that you already have for yourself, right? But overcoming this addiction, man. I remember when I was down in Nepal, I was talking to a guy. He was about my age. He worked at one of the places that I was staying at while I was doing some meditation, right? You know, and God, it was so hot, like unreal levels of heat. But it was really cool. And I was talking to him, and we were it was one of those rare kind of open dialogues. There's no ego attached to it. It was like we just genuinely were trying to understand each other. We were both from across the planet, very different lives, but we were both men and of the same age, right? He was asking me, it originally opened up because he asked me if I wanted to smoke a cigarette, and I said, nah, man, I don't do that stuff, but I used to. He was like, well, how did you quit? And I looked at him and I was like, I didn't do anything, man. I just one day I stopped. He was like, what? What do you mean you stopped? And I went into this dialogue, a little bit of the surrender principle, and I did it till I didn't want to do it anymore. Right? These principles I talk about on this channel, overcoming any addiction. I can't take credit for it because like I didn't really do it. It was just God. God allowed me to stop doing it. It was time, right, to transcend. But I was asking him about, we were talking about the birds and the bees, sex and, masturbation and all that stuff. And he had told me that we were talking about dating, really, is how that came up. Like, how's dating here in Nepal versus how it is in, America? Totally different, but the same. Down there, what a lot of the guys do is just go to these brothels. They just go to these brothels, and they just pay a certain amount of money. It's like a couple dollars, and then they just, shoot a shot out, and then they leave, and that's it. That's their like way to satisfy those needs. In a lot of these third world countries, that's just how it is, right? It's even if it's illegal, it's totally accepted. Everyone just does it. All right. They got other things they're worrying about, like trying to feed their people, in a lot of these places. So prostitution isn't really like on the agenda of being outlawed, right? Especially if it keeps the people sedated, and that's the whole point. So I was talking to him, and he told me that his doctor told him to have sex a few times a week. And I said to him, and I'm just kind of curious, like, well, why did the doctor tell you that? Like, what was he saying? Like, what was his reasoning? And he just said that it's a good way to stay calm. And I started getting in and started kind of asking him, well, what do you mean calm? And he said, well, when I don't do it, I feel really angry. I feel really sad. I feel these emotions. I feel et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so when I go and do that, I don't feel the pain anymore. And it clicked in me. I was like, literally an addiction. That is like, you might as well just be doing another drug. And the doctor's telling him that because that's what the doctor does himself. So, like, of course they're going to tell you that, right? I mean, sexual thoughts and this sexual demon that we all have inside of us that's based in ego and in our lower nature, that exists in everyone. There is going to be, people will mentally and emotionally justify their way to continue doing that, whatever the cost. It doesn't matter what kind of degree you have or how much training you've had. What matters is your level of spiritual evolution. Okay? Again, like, not like hating people or anything. Like, there's no judgment, because I get it. Like, it's just, but it's like, is your fruit ripe enough yet? That's all it is. Okay. Yeah, Yash says that on, his Spiritual Renaissance channel, which you should go check out if you haven't, right? We're all just fruit on a tree. Some are ready to be picked, and some need to ripe a little more. That's all it is. Okay. Doesn't make one apple or fruit better than the other. But I just could not believe the insanity that they didn't even realize. All right. And so, yeah, the odds are just so stacked against you, man. Now, how do you kind of overcome this? How do you overcome this? Become aware. I found that becoming aware is the number one way to do it. Aware that this exists inside of you. There's some people over there. And surrendering to it, realizing like there is nothing that I can do to overpower this, to try to will it away. That usually comes after trying to will it away enough and realizing there's just nothing on this planet that you're going to be able to do. All right? Unless you want to just I don't know. This is really deep stuff. I mean, you have to get in touch with the higher power than yourself, though. That exists inside of you. It's already there, right? You're just not aware of it. Right? Getting in touch with that, though, is vital, right? Because then you're going to start to intuitively understand what you need to do, right? And it could be one of the most subtle things. I mean, heck, that intuition keep telling you to just keep doing it for a while, right? But there's no trick, there's no magic pill, there's no magic fix, There's nothing that you can read or take, or unless you're supposed to read it or see it or take it, right? That's what I mean, getting in touch with that intuition. But trying to will this away, trying to force this away, it's not going to happen. And think about it for yourself. Like, try, like, when you surrender to it and just say, like, throw your hands up in the air organically, like, there's nothing I can do to fix this. There's nothing I can do to overpower this. How does that make you feel? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel like relief, even though you're still doing it? Or ask yourself that question, you know? Because, when I was really going through this, and even when I was very stable in semen retention, and I was able to use that unconsciously to date women and have sex with women and feed that habit even more because it's so sinister. It hides at every corner. I remember as I was doing these habits, as my vibration, as my vibration was increasing, those habits just stopped conforming to my being, So maybe now that we're unpacking it, that's a really good principle right there, Start working on the subtle things that raise your vibration, raise your level of consciousness. Eating clean, healthy food. I mean, I say this on almost every one of my videos. So, eating clean, healthy food, right? Watching what you say, watching what you see, feel, touch, like control your senses. Don't be feeding your senses nonsense, right? That is such a big Buddhist principle, man. When I was one of my times over in Asia, I was really studying the Buddhism a lot. I was following the path of where the Buddha was, where he's born, died, where he was meditating, became enlightened, etc. And I really learned that over there. Like, controlling your senses and feeding your senses like positive things is so huge to your vibration. But as my vibration was starting to increase, like watching really positive, uplifting channels, whatever that channel might be, if it's this one, cool. If it's other ones, great. Like, go wherever you need to go. As my vibration was raising, my level of consciousness increasing, I'd found that those lower natured habits just naturally fell off. But it took some time and humility, like realizing like I can't do this by myself. I can't. Like, and the thing is I'd talk to people all the time and they'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to quit everything. I'm going to just break all these habits. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop having sex. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to control it. I'm doing it. And they would always just, God, they'd be in so much mental agony, physical, emotional agony because of it. Because it's like, I'm trying to force it. And then they would just collapse and relapse and then go back to it. But there's a slower, but a much more right path to take, and that's just your intuition. Going along the journey and being okay where you're at. Like, okay, I have a porn addiction, a sex addiction. Like, just, it's okay. It's fine. All right. We're good. It's all good, right? Like, holding space for yourself, man. Having that compassion. That's, yeah. And not this, not from this, like, you see it on a shirt, like, compassion, baby, like, or this self-help stuff where it's like, just be kind to yourself. Just be kind to yourself. No, like, just breathing in it. It's okay. It's cool. It's fine. Right? How would you treat a friend of yours that is dealing with the same thing? Are you gonna call them out and be mean and rude and disrespectful to them like you do to yourself, like we all do? Or are you gonna hold space for them, man? Give them some love, okay? Go along the journey, all right? The cards are stacked against you, living on this planet, this nonsense, but there is something higher out watching for you. You know, Rumi, right? He who brought me here is taking care of me. And it is. It is. All right. Have a great day.